question for you, Uzma.
Come to me.
I have a question for you, Uzma. I am coming to you, and my question to you is this. Listen to the question. Listen to the question, Uzma.
Let's start with a proposition. Journalism is the accuracy business, and it should lead you to the best obtainable version of the truth. It should be, after all. If you don't believe a journalist's stories, what's the point? A journalist's job is to explain to their readers and viewers what they do and how they do it. And at the same time, the bottom line has got to be the best obtainable version of the truth. But trust in the news is declining. Journalists are no longer seen as non-combatants on political or cultural battlefields. These days, journalists are often accused, usually on Twitter, of bias, lying and faking stories. Often, for a journalist, getting to the truth means weighing up evidence and making judgments. And it's become even harder now with a barrage of information being dumped online. And in this, journalists often find it hard to be neutral about everything, especially in an online world which is perceivably cruel. Most journalists are often advised by their seniors while editing an audio or videotapes in broadcast media or bashing keyboards in a newspaper office about putting their beliefs in a box at the front door and not letting them shape their journalism. That is not so simple. In this episode of Ethics of Journalism, we would look at the 5 core principles that will help any journalist navigate these difficult times. The first, accuracy and truth. Journalists cannot always guarantee truth because there can be several versions of truth. It may lead you into arguments of this is true and that is not true. That is why getting the facts right is so important. This will help you reach the best obtainable version of the truth, which is a cardinal principle of journalism. A journalist should strive for accuracy, give all the relevant facts they have, and ensure that they have been checked. When a journalist cannot corroborate information, they should say so. The second principle being independence. Journalists must be independent voices. They should not act formally or informally on behalf of special interest groups, whether political, corporate, or cultural. Journalists should declare to their editors or to their audience any of their political links, financial arrangements, or other personal information that might constitute a conflict of interest. That takes us to the third principle, impartiality. It is a tool, a technique that helps make sense of events. It does not mean false balance, like they say, on the one hand she says this, and the other he says that. So the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Often, truth does not always lie in the middle. The thing about impartiality is that it doesn't exist in a vacuum. This is the distinction between absolute neutrality and impartiality. Impartiality does not mean being neutral about basic moral values, truthfulness, justice, freedom, compassion, and tolerance. It also means presenting accurate information without favoring or discriminating against any sources, viewpoints, or groups. So, there is a key difference between being balanced and being impartial. Balance is where you have two people with opposing views, both given equal time and space, while impartiality is when the journalist makes an active search to determine what is true. There is a famous phrase which I will modify slightly, which is that if one person says it's raining and the other person says it is not, the journalist's task is not to strike a balance between those two views, but to look out of the blinking window himself. So, impartiality means hearing the arguments, weighing them, and if they are false, saying so. Which takes us to the fourth core principle, humanity. Journalists should not do no harm. They are expected to show humanity. What it means is, a journalist is expected to be aware of the consequences of what they publish or broadcast. So they have to be aware that sometimes the words they use or the pictures they show may be harmful to the people. It is a journalist's duty to protect people. So when they report, journalists should not indulge in hate speech. They should not be showing objectionable images or video footages because they are part of a humanitarian process. Now we come to the fifth core principle, accountability. Journalists should be accountable to their audience. They should be willing to answer for their work and take responsibility for their mistakes. They should listen to feedback, criticism, and complaints from their audience. And they should always strive to uphold the highest standards of professional ethics. A sure sign of a professional journalist is someone who is willing to be held accountable. When they make mistakes, they should correct them promptly and sincerely. They should also listen to the concerns of their audience, even if they don't agree with them. Journalists may not always be able to change what people think or say, but they should always be willing to make things right when they have been unfair. Thanks for listening. See you in our next episode. For more videos, subscribe to our channel, The Ethics of Journalism.